Hello everyone, I'm Naveen Agarwal. I hope by now you have downloaded the PHA template from Achieve website, because in this video I'm going to talk about one common mistake people make, and it happens all the time when they do hazard analysis. So as you use this PHA template for your hazard analysis, if you listen to this video, you can avoid that potential mistake, and that will make your hazard analysis more effective. So if you have not downloaded the PHA template, go to the Achieve website PHA template page. The link is given below, and get that PHA template right away. Okay, so one of the most important things that you have to do as part of your hazard analysis is to identify hazards, identify the sequence of events that may lead to a hazardous situation where the patient or the user may be exposed to that hazard, and it may result into one or more harms. And one of the most common mistake people make is that they use a failure mode effects analysis approach to link their failure modes to hazardous situations. And in this video, I will show you why that is not the right approach and what are the consequences of taking that approach in your risk analysis. So let's look into this. So we're going to look into the preliminary hazard analysis and avoiding this common mistake. But let's first take a step back and understand what is hazard analysis. Systematic analysis to identify the hazards, hazardous situations and events that can lead to harm for a given activity, facility or system. Nowhere in this definition the term failure is mentioned or a failure mode is mentioned. Okay? So it's a common industry practice that the people use FMEAs or fault tree analysis or other tools that are very suitable for failure analysis, but not suitable for hazard analysis, and what kind of headache it causes. I will talk about that. So let's look at an example. Device failure modes are not hazardous situations, and most people identify them as hazardous situations in their FMEAs. Let's say you have a continuous glucose monitor that fails to trigger a high value alarm due to a software error. That's how you will have a line item in an FMEA. Now, if you take a step back and think about it, this may lead to a situation, hazardous situation, where the patient experiences a high blood glucose level as a hazardous situation, but failing to trigger an alarm is only an initial event, only a trigger event. That's not necessarily a hazardous situation. Expired reagent used in a rapid antigen test leads to a false negative result. Yeah, so this may lead to a hazardous situation where someone is not able to get timely medical care, but that's not the false negative result as the hazardous situation. Something more has to happen that leads to a sequence of events and the patient or the user finding it themselves in a hazardous situation. False negative result is only an initial event. Now let's look at this one. Inadequate access control introduces a cybersecurity vulnerability in an infusion pump connected to a hospital network. This is an example of a latent vulnerability that can be exploited, but does not immediately lead to a hazardous situation for the patient. So you will find items on the left hand side of this slide in an FMEA. Failure modes, cause and effect. But most often the effect of the failure modes is confused in our industry as a hazardous situation, and that leads to a lot of problems. I'll talk about that in just a minute. So how do we visualize this? Where does this fit? Where does our failure analysis or FMEA fit into this whole picture? Well, this is the scenario. A trigger event leads to a sequence of events, makes one or more hazards active, and the user or patient is in a hazardous situation, experiences one or more harms. Now, failure modes or failure of a device is a completely different system shown in a complex slide here. The device is interfacing with the professional, the patient. It has gone through a process and it has a lot of what we call inherent failure modes or quote unquote bugs. Not necessarily they will be activated all the time. So they are linked. They may be potentially linked to the trigger event or the sequence of events that may lead to the hazardous situation, but within themselves they are not the hazardous situations. So that is a very important distinction we have to understand. That's why hazard analysis is done at a higher level. It starts with trigger events and leaves the contributing factors of those trigger events to the downstream documents like FMEAs. So the mistake we make by identifying failure modes as hazardous situations is that we fail to understand the sequence of events in the proper way that links hazards to harms. And we assume that one specific failure mode itself is a hazardous situation. So we skip a lot of steps that are required in the hazard analysis. So why does it matter? Now, let's say you have post-market information coming in. Very rarely do you find a direct linkage between a specific failure mode of the device and a particular harm experienced by the patient. Usually you get occurrences of harms or occurrences of device malfunctions, but not the linkage between the two. In the absence of that, the analysis for failure and the control of failures have to be done differently and separately than the analysis of harms and the occurrence of harms. So the consequence of this mistake is that people often confuse the probability of a failure mode as a probability of a harm or a hazardous situation occurring. And that's totally wrong. And as a result, your risk levels are not estimated correctly. Risk is not evaluated correctly. And you really don't have the ability to troubleshoot and diagnose changes in risk levels based on post-market information. That's the context and the consequence of this mistake, and I hope after listening to this video and going through my template and step-by-step directions, you avoid this mistake. Good luck with your analysis.